All right. So we're going to do a little bit of risk analysis for Nvidia stock. I know that's going to be a little bit different because a lot of talk has been about how phenomenal Nvidia is, the exploding revenue, profit, cash flow, everything seemingly going right for Nvidia. And I've been one of those, right? I've had Nvidia stock rated on my list of top stocks to buy all year long, and I've kept reiterating that recommendation. Still, even when you're looking at a stock that you rate very highly and you're enthusiastic about and bullish on, you still want to know the risks. You still want to take a look at some of the bear case, and you want to evaluate what are the potential downsides. That's what I'll do here in this video. I'll look at two risks in specifically, but there are more than just two. I'm going to take a look at two of them, and then I'll review what some of the others might be without going in too specifically on those other risks Nvidia is exposed to. So let's take a look at these two risks for Nvidia stock investors. I want to thank the Motley Fool for sponsoring this video. Visit fool.com/Parkev for the 10 best stocks to buy now. All right, so one of the newer risks for Nvidia stock investors is Nvidia has increased the speed at which it's innovating. You might say, well, that's not a risk, that's a benefit, right? It's creating new products faster, which is going to create more demand. That's true. But when you're doing that at an accelerated rate, there are some risks that arise. And let's take a look at what Nvidia says are the risks to this newer, faster innovation strategy. So Nvidia is saying here in their latest 10Q statement that the increased frequency of these transitions may magnify the challenges associated with managing our supply and demand due to the manufacturing lead times, qualification time for new products, customers anticipating product transitions, and channel partners reducing channel inventory of prior architectures ahead of new product introductions can reduce or create volatility in our revenue. So what does that mean in basic terms? Well, when you're creating new products at an accelerating rate, customers are aware of your product launch cycle because typically you announce it ahead of time because you're working with supply chain partners, you're working with distributors that are selling your product. And so you got to keep everyone aware, you got to keep everyone in the loop of what you're planning. And customers are also aware. So if you're a customer and you're looking at Nvidia and you're thinking about buying one of their products, now you're thinking, do I buy it right now, or do I buy it and wait to buy it when that next generation technology comes out? And you're always second guessing yourself unless you catch that brand new technology right when it's coming out. Let's say you're 2 months late and now you know the newer technology is coming out within a year. As Nvidia has highlighted, they're going to have a new generation update every year now is their goal. And so if you're thinking, okay, it's been a few months, I haven't gotten the new products just yet, should I wait now until the new one comes out? Or do I buy the existing one even though it's a couple of months old now? That's one of the risks that arise when you're going so quickly, innovating so quickly, and have a new next generation product coming out. Also, it makes it a little bit challenging for your distributors, which you're going to be sending out your next generation product, and they may still have inventory of your older generation products on hand. They may not have sold through all of that old generation inventory that you've sent them. And so now they're in a difficult position as well, because if they bring in this new inventory that you're selling, they might need to discount that existing inventory they still have. Otherwise, if a customer is looking at that inventory, they're looking at the next generation product and the older generation product. And if they're the same price, of course, they're going to choose the newer one, and that older one is not going to sell. And so they're going to need to discount that older technology. And so now distributors are going to be in a juxtaposition. How do they manage those transitions? Do they slow down purchases of that other product in anticipation of the new one coming in? How do they balance that transition now? They've gotten used to a certain cycle over these last several years, but now that Nvidia is accelerating the pace of innovation, Now the distributors have to get used to a different cycle, a faster cycle. It's challenging. It's not easy. You don't have that history, that customer history, to determine how you're going to manage those transitions. So these are some of the risks that arise by accelerating that pace of innovation. Still, Nvidia reminding everyone, we've done this before. We've managed prior product transitions and have sold multiple product architectures at the same time. So we've been doing this for a long time, where we have multiple generations of our product out in the market all at the same time. This isn't a new thing for Nvidia. It's not a new thing for any business, right? You can go out and see, even though Apple is up to the Apple iPhone 15, they still have iPhone 12, 13 out there for sale. There may even be older models out there selling alongside the 15s, right? So they, balance that, and prices adjust accordingly, and businesses have learned how to adapt to these changing innovative cycles. Still, it is a risk, and I like that Nvidia is highlighting the risk and letting investors know it's not easy, but we can handle it. All right, the next risk I'm going to talk about is geopolitical risk, right? So in August of 2022, the US government announced licensing requirements that impact exports to China. And so Nvidia was restricted from which of its technology it can export to China. And China was a meaningful market for Nvidia in August of 2022. It has since diminished, right, because of the follow-on continuous export restrictions, right? In July of 2023, again, additional licensing requirements for their products, not only to China, but including some regions in the Middle East now, right? In October of 2023, further restrictions, including the A100, A800, H100, H800, L4, etc. of their products, now not only to China, but also those additional countries in country group D5, including China. Okay, so more and more countries getting on that restricted list where Nvidia is not allowed to export to, right? So Nvidia said that they expanded their data center product portfolio to offer new solutions, including which the US government does not require a license or advance notice before each shipment. And so they made new products designed specifically for China that do not require a license. Their data center revenue in China is down significantly from the level prior to the export control restrictions in October of 2023. So they've already taken a big hit because of these restrictions on exports to China. Now, the company goes on to say their competitive position has been harmed, and our competitive position and future results may be further harmed in the long term if there are more changes in these export controls. So this is still a risk. It's not as if the US government has said, okay, we're done putting on these restrictions on these innovative technologies because we see it as a risk. They may continue, and that will be harmful and further harmful for Nvidia. Finally, the biggest risk of all, while we work to enhance the resiliency and redundancy of our supply chain, it's currently concentrated in the Asia-Pacific region. New and existing export controls or changes to existing export controls could limit alternative manufacturing locations and negatively impact our business. Famously, Nvidia outsources manufacturing to Taiwan Semiconductor Corporation, which is based in Taiwan, which is contested by China, and China continues to take aggressive action in the region. And so that's a big risk. If China ends up invading Taiwan, that's going to be a massive, massive, devastating impact to Nvidia. They've been working to try and diversify away, but still, it would be a massive risk. I wouldn't be surprised if the stock price collapses in that event. And so, but, Nvidia's stock price would be one of the smaller worries for people in that event. There is more devastating consequences that will be more important to humanity outside of Nvidia's stock price. But Nvidia is highly, highly exposed to that supply chain risk, and that is the primary risk right now for Nvidia. So these are just two of Nvidia's risks right now. Competition, rising competition is another one I didn't go too deeply into, and there are more. But these two specifically are the risks that Nvidia talks about in their 10Q. And you could see they spent a great deal of time here discussing these two risks. So I thought it would be important to share them with you, as I'm sure many of you are interested in Nvidia stock, especially after the 10-for-1 stock split. Before I let you go, let me tell you about the greatest deal on YouTube. With just a click of a button, you can get free financial analysis from a professor with decades of investing experience. So what are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you again soon.